Well, it's Zoe and welcome back to another video on my channel. I do have a fan blowing, so I'm sorry if it's a little noisy in the background, but it is hot and I have no AC. So I wanted to film this video because I know that a lot of the Fulbright ETAs and ETS are starting school right now. I wanted to make this video to just kind of tell you the school differences that I noticed between the US and Taiwan and kind of my experience with that. One big thing that I noticed is just the structure of the schools are very different. A lot of schools are just based on homerooms, so they'll pretty much stay in that homeroom and then that teacher teaches them all the subjects. So kind of similar to like how elementary is in the US, but I know that by the time I was in like third or fourth grade, I had already started like rotating teachers, but they don't really do that. Usually when they have guest teachers like me, an English teacher, I would go into the classroom. Sometimes the kids would come to an English classroom. It really just depended on the school. Another thing that I noticed is just like the curriculum is very different from the US. So they had a ton more field trips and just other excursions that I think are more beneficial to their learning than just sitting in a classroom all day. So they would go out and farm vegetables, and that's how they learned about the process of farming vegetables. And I thought that that was really cool. I absolutely love the way that they do lunch because the kids basically bring lunch boxes with just dishes in them. And then either you'll go to a cafeteria or they'll have little food trays that you'll bring up to your homeroom, and then kids eat out of their own dishes and then they'll wash them in the classroom and then bring them home. And I think that is so genius. Like, it saves the cooks from having to clean dishes, it reduces waste from like paper plates, and like I just think it's so smart. The kids will also sometimes brush their teeth after lunch. That's very emphasized over there. Another thing I noticed is that exercise is very emphasized over there, just like staying in shape, having healthy bodies. So a lot of schools in Taiwan, you'll notice, have a little track. So a lot of the time they'll have little break periods in between classes that they'll go running on the track. Whenever we started PE class, we always started with a warm-up and then running laps on the track. And so I really liked that about the school, is that they were very into physical exercise. They would have, some of their break periods would be dance periods where basically like everyone in the county like knew that dance, and I learned it and it was really fun. It was nice seeing them put physical education in like a positive light and show like how important it was to have it. I guess some other differences I noticed is also just like the courses that they teach in elementary school. So I noticed that the main courses are like math and then the language, English, and then they had a nature course, which I thought was really cool. But things like science and history, I feel like weren't as heavily emphasized. They did have some, like, they had like a social studies class, then they would have like an art class. So I feel like they were learning about this stuff, but like not in a traditional sense, like in the US, how like we have history, math, etc., etc. Sometimes their history courses would include like going to a famous site or landmark and then learning about the history there. And then they would also have specific classrooms for like the science lab, the computer lab, etc., where they would have classes there. So I feel like that was kind of similar to like at least my experience. Like I would have a separate computer class where I would go to a separate computer lab and do it that way. But again, it is also like very different from US school systems, and also we don't get those breaks in between classes. Like there were at least 10 to 15 minutes in between each class. US doesn't have that. I mean, like maybe we'll have 5 minutes to like switch in the hallways, but like especially in elementary school, you're pretty much like going all the time. You don't really have those nice little breaks in between. They also have nap time, and nap time is not just for the kindergartners. Like they do it all the way up to 6th grade, sometimes even all the way up to like the high school levels. And I think that's so nice because like I would love to take a nap in high school. I think napping is great as like a midday, just to like rest your body and your mind, and things like that. I really do wish that I written these down, but those are like the main ones that I can think of as like the major differences that I noticed in the school. Also the length of school. So they start at the end of August and they go till the end of June. So that is very different. Their summer is a lot shorter. In terms of holidays, there's no spring break and there's no Christmas break or Thanksgiving break. So when I worked through Christmas, I worked through Thanksgiving, etc. And then also no spring break. So Fulbright Taiwan did have like a Thanksgiving event where I got to miss school for a few days, but not for the whole week. And then my family was here on Christmas, so I actually requested like the week they were here off so I could spend it with them, but normally they would be in school. And then the vacations we do have are the national holidays, like for the country, and then you do have New Year's Day, so like January 1st, you have that off, and then you pretty much go until about the middle of January, and that is when the winter break period is. And winter break usually flows into the Lunar New Year break. They're usually consecutive with each other. So you do have that really long period. But then in the spring semester, there was only like one weekend that we had a really long weekend. So the fall semester, you'll definitely have more time off. Also, the structure of the schools. So a lot of their schools are very outdoorsy, so the classrooms will be inside, but the hallways are just like almost like pathways outside. I'll try to upload a picture. So you're not really like inside a school, which I think is nice. I mean, obviously they don't have the same concerns about schools in Taiwan that they do in the US. So it's nice that they're able to have that like really big open space, which I think is really nice. Another thing just in relation to kind of the curriculum is like the amount of guests and like special events they bring is really cool. They have people doing like live like storybook theaters and traveling theaters and like kids plays, and I just think it's really cool that those students like get the chance to have that and have that experience and like get those fun little things in addition to their school curriculum. One thing I kind of said in like my teacher's video is just like the flexibility that they have because of these like events. They will tend to move the schedule around a lot, and since it's a homeroom teacher that teaching everything, they're like pretty flexible on like when they get to certain things. So like maybe we'll do an extra lesson on this, maybe we'll push this back, things like that. So that was definitely very different. So yes, again, I do wish I had written these down, but these are just some of the differences that I have noticed between the school systems. There are definitely pros and cons to each. I think going to school in Taiwan would honestly be really cool, just being able to have all of those like excursion experiences and things like that. But there have also been some nice things about the US school system that they might not get in Taiwan. So definitely pros and cons, but I hope that wherever you are placed for your school that you really enjoy it and you embrace it and you make those connections with the kids. It might take some time because of the language barrier, but just know that they will start to fall in love with you and you're gonna miss them so much. I miss my kids so much. And I hope that this video was helpful to just kind of get an idea of what maybe the school year will look like. And yeah, so I'm really sorry I've been lacking on my postings, but I'm hoping to be back to normal schedule now. And yes, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next week. Bye!